Are you looking to do deals and master flipping houses? Welcome to the Do Deals Show with our host, Mr. Tim Mai. As a successful investor and mentor to many real estate investors, Tim's students consistently run 6- and 7-figure investing businesses. Each week, you'll hear from top real estate investors who share the best strategies, systems, and secrets that you can use to be more successful. Tim and his guests will pull back the curtain for you to learn their exact tactics, tricks, and tools that are working best right now in today's real estate market. Now, let's welcome Mr. Tim Mai.
Okay, well, hello everybody. We are live on Facebook. Okay, yes, we're live now. Live on Facebook. All right, everybody. Hello, Facebook. Today I have Matt Aitchison on the line with us today, and Matt, as you can see, he's super young, super handsome. He started real estate investing just a few years ago when he was still in his diapers. Just kidding. He started real estate investing 7 years ago, right out of college. He's 27 now, but very successful. He does real estate flipping in the Sacramento, Northern California area. Prior to that, he was a real estate agent, had a whole team, to do traditional listings, traditional agency type stuff. And on top of flipping, he also educate other real estate investors how to become a 6-figure flipper like himself. And yeah, so I'm really excited to do this interview with Matt here. Matt, share with everyone what you were sharing with me about what's the most important aspect of a real estate investing business, and what does it take to be successful in real estate investing?
Well, Tim, first and foremost, it's great to be on with you, man. Your energy is infectious. So I am excited to be here today, and I'm not offended whatsoever that you said I was only in diapers a few years ago. I'll take that as long as I can get it. So in regards to you and I were having a conversation, and one of the things that I talk a lot about in my mastermind group and in our community is that the fact that without mastering and determining what your lead generation model looks like, or maybe it's one strategy, or as you get bigger, maybe you're going to have 3 pillars or 3 main focuses to your lead generation model, but you really got to niche down and master one area first, because without leads, you have no business, you have no opportunity to profit, right? And so, a lot of people are always concerned about how am I going to finance my deals, or how am I going to, build a relationship with a contractor or a title company or an escrow officer. And there's all these things that we put the cart in front of the horse on. And most importantly, it's about getting deals and getting opportunities in front of you, so you have the chance to profit and bring in revenue. So for anybody that's out there, wondering where do I start? Where you start, essentially, is figuring out how to start generating leads. Now, that could be going to a real estate investment club and meeting other wholesalers or lenders or other investors in your local market. It could be building a relationship with an agent. It could be, scanning the MLS, direct mail. I could go on, but go deep in one area first and then decide once you master that area to go wide. So many people go a mile wide and only an inch deep. My recommendation is go a mile deep and an inch wide. And then once you have your tree trunk, your core figured out, then you can figure out what branches you want to start having kind of build off of that business.
That's great tip. So what are a couple of your top lead generation methods?
So some of my top lead generation methods are really 3 main ones. The first is agents. So being that I've been in this real estate ecosystem for many years, I've built up a traditional real estate business. I've spoke around the country at different real estate brokerages and let people know what I do. And I'm constantly having this real estate conversation. One of the things that I've always said to myself is I'm an investor first and agent second. And some people that might bother them, you're going to, put yourself in front of your client's needs. And there's a proper way to disclose that when you're having those conversations with potential buyers and sellers. But whenever I'm talking to real estate agents, I'm always in investor mode first instead of agent mode. And so by letting them know that I'm constantly looking for investment opportunities, that, you know, they can represent me, they can relist the property if I go and sell it. I'm an investor mindset first and foremost. And so my goal is always to plant those seeds in my community and in other real estate investing communities all around the country, and let people know that I'm an investor, I'm flipping houses, I'm looking for investment opportunities, and if you have something that meets my criteria, I'd love to have that conversation with you. And that has allowed me over time of doing many deposits through many conversations to build up a network and an alliance with a handful of agents, my bird doggers or my army of agents that bring me deals. And so that's first and foremost, free 99 is my favorite price tag. So that allows me to leverage relationships and conversations to bring in income producing opportunities. And I like having a great return on my investment and my time, and agents and individuals and human beings is a great way to scale your opportunities. The second one, which is kind of my bread and butter, it's consistent no matter what, is direct mail. So for those that think direct mail is dead, it's not going anywhere. And if you can get really good at it, I've wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing, and I've also made hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing. So by getting in the game with the direct mail and being consistent every single month, we know that we're going to generate some consistent lead flow that will come in that way. And then the last one is pay-per-click campaigns. So we do have a couple different pay-per-click campaigns and capture websites out there to generate some of that lead traffic online, being that especially as younger millennials and one generation goes out and the next generation comes in, there's going to be more people adopting this online space and looking first to online instead of to the people first.
That's great. Thank you so much for that, Matt. One last question, and we're going to let Facebook Live go here. Someone starting out new, which one of those would you recommend for them to focus in on first?
If you want immediate results, direct mail.
Okay.
Direct mail is easy, right? You can get a template and a letter and send it out tomorrow. If you want long-term results and leveraged results, I would say agent relationships. Real estate is a relationship-based business, so you can't go wrong with either one. But if you want quicker results and you want a better opportunity to have conversations quickly, direct mail is the best way to go.
Perfect. I love it. All right, Facebook. You heard the man, right? Super young, super smart. Make sure you keep an eye out for when we upload the full interview. And so keep an eye out for that. So with that, see you later. All right. All right, Matt, we're going to continue with the rest of our interview here. So take us back. Take us back to your journey of, how you got started in this business so young, fresh out of college. Heck, I hardly knew what I wanted to do at that time. I just want to mess around with girls at that time.
You and I both, man. I was confused. I had no idea really what I wanted to do. I'd gone to college and gotten this piece of paper that I'd been told, was going to set me up for the rest of my life. And once I had that piece of paper, it was like, okay, now what, right? Nobody was calling me, offering me a job. It wasn't, it didn't make me feel any smarter or any more equipped to go out and succeed in life. And when I started doing some real soul searching of what I wanted to do, the life that I wanted to live, the people that I wanted to be around, real estate started checking off a lot of those boxes. It had the freedom and flexibility to design a schedule and a business and a lifestyle that fit what I wanted to create. It gave me the opportunity to have no income of what I could achieve or what I could bring in on an annual basis in regards to what I could make financially. It had the long-term wealth building capabilities that would meet, what kind of empire or legacy I wanted to leave behind. And I got to be in a space that also fulfilled my social needs, which is, connecting with human beings and being around and helping other individuals and learning from other people. So real estate checked a lot of boxes for me. And so that's what led me into real estate. Going back, my mom was dragging me to real estate investing seminars when I was like 13, 14, 15. And she was in corporate America. And she would go to these, real estate seminars. She'd buy their course or their product, and then she would, go back to her corporate job, the safe and secure job, because real estate's a pipe dream, and it's for the entrepreneurs, the risky people, right?
Right.
And I was going into her office and reading those books and taking them off the shelf. So at that point in time, I had kind of the bug planted in me, and it wasn't until I graduated school and re-engaged with the space and said, hey, I'm going to get my real estate license and I'm going to build a real estate team and maybe start thinking about investing in real estate, that fire was reignited.
That's awesome. Okay. So you got your license, built this team. What would you say, I kind of pick it up, but I want to hear it from you. Like, what would you say allows you, what's trait or talent or gift is it that have you like succeed so quickly, compared to a lot of people, they don't have the kind of traction that you had?
I would say definitely this attitude of failing forward. I had some hiccups earlier on in life. I was expelled from high school. I got arrested in college, so I actually found myself in some trouble earlier on in my life, had faced some adversity on in my life. And the adversity was almost an advantage because I had been into some dark spaces. I had, looked up at some really high summits and said, if I'm going to get to climb that mountain, I'm going to have to do certain things. I'm going to have to become a certain person. And so this approach of failing forward and failing fast was always something that I brought into my real estate journey with me. And the other one, I would say that essentially I would believe is a superpower of mine and kind of sets me apart from other individuals is the fact that I actually care. I take time to listen and I take time to find solutions for people, whether it's in my best interest or not. And in the real estate investing space, I want to leave a legacy behind that. People say, he was someone of integrity. He cared. It wasn't all about money. And for me, being that this is a long-term game for me, and I plan on doing this well into my hundreds, because by that time I'll have the technology to keep my old ass around. We will, have a trail of breadcrumbs behind me and my organization and all the people that I've worked with and been fortunate enough to do business with that said, he did it with integrity and he did it the right way. And that is, I think, what has allowed me to really gain, some early on success in my career.
Right. That's awesome. I love that. And it's funny you mentioned that because I actually wrote down, that's one of the questions I want to ask you is about your failures. So share with us, one of your, I guess, biggest failure in the business so far that have you question, your existence in business or even questions like if you should continue this thing?
Well, I don't think we have enough time for the show for me to share them all. So I'll narrow it down to a couple. In that first year, going out and being an entrepreneur is, many people call themselves entrepreneurs nowadays, yet many people are actually entrepreneurs. Many people actually put themselves in a situation where they're laying everything on the line. And, they have other people looking to them to take on a business and to provide them with opportunity. And so early on, it is scary going into a space where you're learning something new, your financial future is at stake, your fulfillment and your happiness, you're sacrificing time and hours. I mean, you're going into a space where there's a lot of challenges. And with that first 12 months in the business, I truly questioned quitting and getting a safe job, probably half a dozen times. There was at least 5 or 6 times where I recall either thinking to myself or calling someone, having a question, having a conversation and saying, "Am I cut out for this? Like, I don't know if I can do this," right? And that's the beauty of having mentors and good connections around you and in a right environment, because when you don't have the belief in yourself, someone else in your network or your community will lend their belief in you to you. And sometimes that's all that you need to keep moving. But for the failures, I've had many of them. I mean, I've had many in regards to failing on how I led a potential individual in my company and I could have handled a conversation better. Or it could go back to I lost $40,000 on a flip that I shouldn't have bought. That was the biggest house in the neighborhood, and I overdeveloped it, and I got super excited that I was going to be doing this high-end remodel and, the sexiness that went along with it.
Right.
And it was the biggest house in the neighborhood, the highest price point in the neighborhood. So there was lower demand, lower buyers looking in that price point. I had remodeled over what the standard was for that neighborhood. So it ended up sitting on the market an additional 6 months that I hadn't allocated holding costs for. It got broken into 2 times and the staging was stolen out of it. It got vandalized. So what I thought was going to be a $70,000 profit ended up being a negative, $35,000 profit. And that was a big learning lesson. I learned a lot of things on that, don't always buy the biggest house in the neighborhood. Stay within the median. Don't overdevelop or over remodel to the neighborhood standard. Allocate longer closing costs. I mean, I could go on and on, but I've had many failures, and each failure has just been an amazing stepping stone to my next success, because it's taught me of what not to do moving forward, and I've been able to use that as an advantage. Knowing that I've been to some of these areas that other people have never ventured, it gives me the confidence to navigate and move forward in my journey of pushing the envelope and breaking through new milestones.
That's awesome. I love you said that, because I have a flip that sort of similar situations as what you describe it. It got me present to thinking, you know what? Anytime that we get overly excited about a property, we should take a step back and check our ego, right?
Yep.
Because chances are it's influencing the deal.
Yeah.
So
I just finished, Ryan Holiday wrote a book called Ego is the Enemy. And at the end of the day, we all have ego, right? Ego is good. It could also be extremely dangerous and destructive. And so making sure that, when ego is present, that we're at least aware of it and using it to serve instead of to hinder was a big takeaway from that book.
That's awesome. I love that. So share with us about some. I know you touch on the marketing, right? The lead generation aspect of it. Give us some tip on how to build the relationship with the agents to have them send us deals. I'm sure they have tons of different investors going after them. What are, coming from an agent yourself, what are some of those sort of insider tricks and tips that make sure that the agent's going to stay with us and feed us the deals?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at it from the perspective of the agent, right, and you're just another investor going, hey, send me deals, this is what I'm looking for, they're just going to throw you into the pile of join the pack, right?
Right.
If you want to stand out, then I would ask you the question of what do you need to do in order to stand out? So when I asked myself that question and I started thinking about some of the things that would add value to that agent, right? I always go back to value. How can you add value to that person? So if they feel like they got some value from you, then they're going to want to reciprocate, for one. And two, when they get value, most likely they're going to come back for more. So I'm always trying to position myself as a valuable resource to that individual and their business. And a big part of that comes back to communication and education. And one of the conversations that I have with most of my agents is they don't know a deal if it were to smack them upside the head. And oftentimes they negotiate out of a deal instead of into a deal. So my conversation is usually, how do you communicate with a seller that gives the seller the options? Because most of them, right, are bringing these deals based on the fact that it's a listing for them. It's a pocket listing. They're thinking of putting on the market. And they said, hey, Matt, this deal might work for you. Here's, what the blah, blah, blah is and da-da-da, right? But in that initial meeting with them, I always say, hey, I'm sure you're going to come across an opportunity here and there that would make sense for an investor. And your seller may be looking for a quick close. They may not want to have to jump through all the hoops of, hiring a realtor, putting a sign in the yard, having open houses, negotiating, repairs and closing costs and all that. Wouldn't it be great if you could go into that conversation with them and say, hey, I can still list your property and go the traditional retail route. I got that down. We can absolutely do that for you. But here's another option for you just in case, because I always like to provide my sellers with options. And this is the conversation I'm having with the agent. And I say, what about if you were to lay another option on the table and say, you know what? I also work with an investor who, if you don't want to go the retail route, they can come in, they can purchase your house for cash. They're gonna pay my commission, so you don't have to pay my commission. They are going to pay all the closing costs of the sale, and they're going to close on your time frame. So if you want to get this done, you don't want to put the time, the energy into it, you just want to have the stress off your plate. I just wanted to make sure I was giving you that option so you can at least choose which one makes the most sense for you and your family based on your financial goals and how much time and energy you want to put into this. And just by having that conversation with the agent and giving them that script, they're like mind blown, and they feel so much more confident now when they go into these opportunities to say, wow, I can give that seller two different options. And when they really have the aha, right? And when I help them shift from going, oh, well, I want to put the property on the market and I want to do this and that. Okay, that's great. But what about this? What if you could give them an option? They choose the cash option. I pay you a commission. You do absolutely nothing. You don't list the property. You don't put a sign in the yard. You don't take pictures of it. You don't have to go out and do an open house. You get paid the same. And when we close and you look awesome to that seller, then I get to not only make you look like a champion, but on the back end, I'm going to allow you to relist the property again. So you're going to get a listing and a commission on that side too. And it's like, the light bulb goes off and they realize that they can do a fraction of the work, still add value to that individual, help them accomplish their goals if they choose that route, right? I never want anybody to feel like they're being steered in one direction or another, but by giving people options, it allows them to make the best decision that fits for them. And that agent feels more equipped. They have a new tool in their tool belt, a new script in their back pocket, and they feel more equipped to go out and find these opportunities. And now, not that they are indebted to me, but psychologically, they want to do more business with me because they know that I can close fast and perform, make them look good, and they're going to make more money. So that's kind of awesome. One of the main strategies that I use is adding value to that agent to build them up, and essentially it reciprocates in the big picture. Right,
and I really like how you we do it. When we're dealing directly with the homeowners, right, with the sellers, we'll pay all their closing costs. There's no commission. But it never clicked to me to make that as an offer, even for the agents. Like, hey, let the seller know there's no commission. With this option, with this cash option, you don't pay me a thing, right? The investor will pay me. I like that a lot. And I can see how that makes it beneficial for them.
Yep. It's just a different script, and it's just one more option for them to use if the situation arises and it makes sense.
Right. That's great. All right, and then your direct mail strategies. Give us one really good tip around your direct mail.
So for us, anything that looks, smells, or tastes like junk mail just gets thrown out. So we like to go a little bit further on the above and beyond to make it feel as real as it possibly can. That requires a little bit more manpower and a little bit higher, I would say, cost of production. But we've seen our conversion ratios and our opens and the calls increase because of that as well. And so if you can equate that and narrow that down to, income producing opportunities, every open means is extremely important. So we do handwritten on all of the envelopes. We use the forever stamp, so no, bulk run it through a stamp machine. It's all hand placed stamps. And we do professional letterhead. We want it to be and feel professional. Whereas a lot of people go, oh, I like the yellow letters, or I like saying, this, my wife and I, or this or that, which is great. I want to position myself and my company as a professional, reputable company, from the letter to the offer to the walkthrough to the escrow process to everything, right? We are not a mom and pop investor, even though some people might say, yeah, you are, because you're purchasing for your company. But at the same time, we want everything to feel professional, starting with the letter. So we use a professional letter, and try and keep it as real and simple as possible. And the main, I would say, most important thing is we have different letters for different lists, because everybody has a different pain point. Like your probate pain point will be different than your divorce pain point, or different than your out-of-state owner landlord pain point, right? So making sure that your call to action and your touch on that pain point is mirroring what list you're sending it to. That's also an important piece.
Gotcha. Okay. So it doesn't sound like you mail a whole lot, like, thousands of pieces or tens of thousands of pieces like we do with postcards. You're cleaning up your list a whole lot more, niching down, targeting very specific people, and then sending out letters.
We do about 4,000 mailers a month. So we're not on the low end. We're definitely not on the high end. But we try and get as specific as we can. There's definitely room for improvement, I'll say that. But at the end of the day, we just want the phone ringing and we want opportunities coming in. So there's always room to become more efficient and to maximize our output and our input. But as long as you're getting out direct mail and you're at least mailing to the right lists, you're going to get some calls. And I always say every conversation can equate to revenue. So I just want to talk to people. And if you ask the right questions and you have the right scripts, one aggressive call of someone who's upset that you mailed them can turn into, I've had someone literally tell me that they're going to call the cops on me and F off and this and that. And within like 2 or 3 calls of me following back up with them, they were telling me that they have, 10 or 15 properties in their rental portfolio and they want to talk about selling them. So
cool.
It just comes back to the scripting, and the direct mail is obviously one of those doors that opens up that opportunity to have more conversations.
That's awesome. And obviously you're a big fan of scripts.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of people think of scripts as like, hi, my name is Matt Aitchison with Fast Cash Solutions. How are you doing today? Pause. Right? Like that is just like the framework. Scripting is, to me, natural. And I always got hung up on the fact, like, I need to read these scripts, and if they don't say this, then what do I say here? Or if they do say this, and then I go to this next step, and I ask them the question, and they don't answer what the script says, and then I have to go, like, just be natural. Just like you're having a normal conversation. What the best negotiators do is they talk very little, and they ask a lot of great questions, and they're really good at listening. Because when you can get to the bottom of what their pain points are, what their motivation is, and by asking the right questions to get the pertinent information that you need in order to assess their situation and look for some solutions, it all comes back to the scripting and the conversation. So yes, I'm a very big believer that scripts open up doors for opportunities, and the only way to get better at scripting is to have more conversations.
That's awesome. So I know you recently started your coaching business where you're now teaching other people how to flip houses. So share with us, like, what made you decide to get into that? Yeah,
so, it's funny. I was reading a book the other day, and it made me think of, like, the big hedge fund managers and all these people that invest in, stocks and bonds. And one of the questions that came up was, where are the customers' yachts? Right? Like all the fund managers and all these gurus and all these people that are making, millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're rolling around in their Ferraris and their yachts, right? And all the people that trust them to help guide them aren't. And so what really inspired me to want to jump into this space was to create a community that essentially really empowered people to not only have the education and the tools, which everybody has access to the education and tools nowadays. The thing that is really holding many people back is being in the right environment and the mindset, what's going on in between your ears. And so that's one of the things that we're creating is, we're offering, top level content, top level education and the course and the program and all that. But the thing that's going to be unique about our community, and we always say, the six-figure flipper and six-figure real estate investor is where the next generation of investor lives, is it's people who have integrity and are willing to put in the work, but they can plug into a community of other like-minded individuals that are striving for the same things. We're not just here to make money. That's not our goal. Our goal is to create a network and a community of like-minded entrepreneurs and individuals in the real estate investing space that want to grow and build their wealth through real estate, but also want to do it in a way that's long-term. They're not looking for that get-rich-quick.
Right.
They're willing to put in the work. And we've seen that through our community, people cheering each other on, supporting one another, celebrating the successes, and just having an environment to plug into that's positive and elevating them is a game changer. And so that's one of the things that I think will make our community very different.
That's awesome. I love that. I mean, I'm a true believer in what you just said, about wanting to have a community that us investors come together, help each other succeed, right? So I mean, one of the reasons why my coaching program too is super successful is because I make the client success as my number one priority.
Yeah.
Like no matter what, every single person that comes through our coaching program has to do at least a deal. Like we'll come and we'll beat them up when we have to get them to do a deal, But that's sometimes that's,
you want to see them win, and that goes back to that original quote of where are all the customers' yachts. I want to see everybody that goes through our program have some kind of win or success where at the end of the day they look back and go, man, that sure as hell was worth it, right? Instead of feeling like you got lost in the numbers or they just wanted to make the $20,000 coaching commission off you. That's another thing. I wanted it to be affordable. So, we're somewhat disrupting the model a little bit. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of gurus, quote unquote, out there that don't like what we're doing. And for me, it's not about the money. It's about the lifestyle and the freedom and the overall fulfillment that people can have and what they can use that money that they make to go impact more people and more things in their life and make the world a better place. So that's real estate is just the vehicle that allows me to do that.
Amen. Awesome. All right, Matt, we're going to wrap up the interview here. It's been phenomenal. Any last tips or word of wisdom that you want to leave with everyone before we say goodbye to them?
Yeah, I would just say big thing for my success has been surrounding myself with the right people, and not only surrounding myself with the right people, but also giving back to the right people. I'm a big believer in birds of a feather flock together, and my tribe and the people that are consistently elevating me on a daily basis have a direct imprint and DNA in my success, and vice versa. When I get the opportunity to do that for others, I love to do that as well. So my biggest advice for anybody that's looking to either grow their real estate business or just take their life to the next level is to look at who your group is around you, and you might have to do some editing. You might have to edit your peer group, and that might be a hard thing to think about. But if you want to live like someone else that you really admire, if you want to, be around someone else like you really admire, then you're going to have to make some changes and choices, and your tribe and your community will be a big part of that. So I'm sure everybody's thankful to be a part of Tim's community and all the great stuff that you're putting out, Tim. So keep doing it, man.
Thanks, buddy. All right, I'm sure by now the listeners are in love with you. They want to get a hold of you. Where do you want to send them?
You can follow me on Facebook or Instagram, Matty, Matty, Aitchison. My last name is Aitchison. You can find us at Matt aitchison.com or sixfigureflipper.com if you want to know more about the Real Estate Investing Mastermind.
Perfect. All righty. Thank you so much, Matt. It's been just absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for everything you've shared. And everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I have. So with that, we'll see you on the next interview. All right, bye, everyone.
And that's our show for today. If you have any questions or would like to get further training from Tim Mai, please visit our website at www.dodeals.com/Tim.